Thank you. We retain about 10% of what we see, 30 to 40% of what we see and hear, and then we actually retain 90% of what we see, hear, and do. So when we're looking of trying to reach people with your brand and with marketing, and we're trying to reach them in 7 different ways, you want to make sure we try and cover the different learning styles that people have. And so something as small as color, which might seem insignificant, can actually have a great big effect on what people see and what people interpret when they're looking at a brand. And so when we're in our planning stage of our planning, implementation, and evaluation, we take a good look at psychology of color and what does color mean. And so we know color is everywhere. You look at McDonald's, you see it all over the place, you can't miss it. They use red and yellow. That's not by mistake. Red and yellow is one of the highest color combinations to catch your eyes. And so you look at Dunkin' Donuts and that weird pastel arrangement. That's because it's supposed to make you crave sweets. You look at Barnes & Noble and that green and brown, and you're like, why would they use something that's green and brown? Well, those are the colors associated with curiosity, wealth, intelligence. That's why you use green and brown. So for people who have the logos and they're already set in that, then what does the color psychology have to do with anything? Why does it matter? Well, you still have flyers going out. You're still doing sponsorships. You're still sitting down and you're talking to people and you're still doing promotional activities. So how can you use those in all those scenarios? Let's take a look at flyers. Did you know that if you put call such and such number in a different color than black, it can actually increase the number of people who call you? If you put it in red, you actually get a real big jump because red is the color of activity, it's the color of movement. And when you're looking at simply as the background, if you use black or if you use blue or if you use yellow, it creates different effects, different responses. Matter of fact, I'm taking a break here. Even if you look at the top of this yellow wall, I don't know if any of you had this color in your cafeteria in high school. We had this color. The reason they use this color is it's supposed to create calmness. It's supposed to make you docile and relax, which will make you eat more. So even in some places simple as here, it was used. So when you're looking at, for example, we talked about your mails and we talked about flyers and you have your business cards, which will probably be your logo color, but you have promotional items going out. And so Chad, when you all send promotional items or in the scenario where you can, it'll be green because you're dealing with wealth management, correct? And then Aaron, when you're sending stuff out, depending on the response that you're trying to create, the color might be different. And Tom, you can go crazy with yours because you have all types of colors to deal with. And also when we roll into that from promotional items, we go to visual displays and we go to promotional activities when we're at fairs and we're at events. What do we do there? Well, once again, what type of reaction are we creating? The backdrop can be different, what you put on the table can be different, to how you present yourself can be different, which even takes you all the way down to the wonderful thing of yourself and how you present yourself. And we talked about before how when we had a tuxedo company and we were doing a bridal fair, we simply changed the clothing they were wearing to increase their response rate. Because even with yourself, what you wear, the colors you wear, and how you wear them can affect how people digest the message. And so you want to make sure you understand your billboard. You want to make sure you understand the canvas, the palette that you're using. So what are the colors? And how are the colors? And how are they defined? And what do they mean? Well, we already determined red. That's energetic. And in the case of Target, it should just be empty dollars because you never walk out there with any money in your pocket, right? Then you have orange. That's fiery. That's adventurous. It's activity. It's movement. You don't see a sunburst orange car and think you're going to sit still, right? All right. So then you have something like green, which we've already determined as curious and intelligence and wealth. And then you have blue, which is harmonious. You have black, which is sometimes referred to as being kind of grief and sad, but also black is very considered sophisticated, wealthy, and expensive. Black ties, black tie affairs, all associated with high level, high luxury. So that even caters all the way down to paper, it caters all the way down to marketing material. So outside of using it for copy, sometimes you want to avoid black depending on the message you're sending. And then you have other colors. You have purple, which is royalty. You have brown, which is ruggedness. And you can go deep down into this and get really crazy with it if you want to. But that's one of the things we go into when we're dealing with a client so that you don't have to go crazy over your colors. Alright, so once you reach out of colors, you start rolling into the area of texture. We talked about texture of the butterfly earlier this morning and what texture means. Because it's good to have color, but texture adds a different variance to it. And it creates some depth, it creates some touch. And the touch is very important because like we said, we have see, we have hear, we have do. And that texture allows people to feel as though they're touching something. If you ever seen an image where it might be for an alarm company or it might be for pet care or something of that nature, and you see they use grass in the picture. There's a reason that they use grass in the picture. It creates the imagery of being in the yard, but you also know what grass feels like. You also know what playing grass feels like. So you automatically get this emotional response to seeing grass in the image. If you're talking about, say, a Yellowwood ad, Tom, you see the wood in the ad. You see the man with his yellow hat, you see the wood in the background, you see the grains of wood in the background. Because it wants to give you an idea of touching, of feeling, of experiencing that wood, to give you that emotional connection. So when we talk about texture, it can be used in print, with limitations. It can be used in video, definitely, and it can be used greatly in person with the clothes you're wearing, with when you make contact with someone, when you're giving them a handoff or a handout or something of that nature. It can be used with great success there. So when we're looking at print in person, or however we're looking at marketing a client, or however we're looking at extending a brand, we want to take a look at color and texture while we're in that planning stage of pop. We want to make sure we track something as small and minimal as that, so that we can tap into the psychology and secretly manipulate, in a kind way, the people into the brand and the active. One small thing I forgot to throw in there. Good to know. Did you know that every president for the last few years has had a wardrobe consultant for the same exact reason? Kevin Powell, by the way.